All right, get ready to dive deep, because today we're headed straight into ancient India.
Gupta era, to be precise.
Yeah, the Gupta era, roughly 300 and 550 CE. Now, we've touched upon the Vedas
Oh, yeah.
and the Mahajanapadas in our past deep dives,
Right.
but today we're zeroing in on this specific period, a period historians often call a golden age. And you know why.
Because it was packed with advancements. It wasn't just about powerful emperors.
And I was just thinking that. It's easy to think of those times as just, emperors and empires.
Of course. But this was a time of true cultural flourishing. A time when science, math, medicine, engineering, it all leaped forward.
And not just within India, right?
Yeah.
It left a mark on global knowledge.
Exactly. A global impact.
See, this is what I find so fascinating. It's easy to think of ancient history as, well, ancient. But when we dig deeper, we discover that discoveries from way back then are surprisingly relevant.
Oh, absolutely.
Even to us today.
You're right.
The foundations of so much of what we rely on were laid way back then.
Precisely. And to really grasp what they achieved, we've got to remember the context. We're talking about a time long before the internet, before modern labs, heck, even before the printing press.
Right. No fancy gadgets.
None at all. Yet the Guptas fostered an environment where knowledge just thrived.
Okay, so paint us a picture. What was so special about the Guptas? What made their era so unique? Did they have some secret sauce?
You could say it was a perfect storm of factors. For one, they ruled over a vast and prosperous territory, but their success wasn't just about military might.
So it was not just about brute force.
No, not at all. The Guptas were patrons of the arts and sciences. They established universities and attracted brilliant minds, not just from their own empire,
Wow.
but from beyond. It was a time of such vibrant intellectual exchange, where innovation was encouraged and even rewarded.
So they weren't just focused on conquering land, they were conquering knowledge.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of the Renaissance in Europe, all that energy and creativity bursting forth.
That's a great parallel, and just like the Renaissance had its Leonardo da Vinci, the Gupta era had its luminaries. Think Aryabhata
Oh.
in mathematics and astronomy,
Uh-huh.
Mahamihira in astrology and astronomy,
Gotcha.
and Sushruta in medicine. These were pioneers, pushing the boundaries of human understanding.
Okay, I'm already getting starstruck.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin unpacking this treasure trove of discoveries? I'm especially curious about their mathematical marvels.
All right, let's dive into math.
Because even basic math sometimes makes my head spin.
Well, then prepare to be amazed. Because the Guptas were doing some seriously advanced stuff. Remember our deep dive on the Vedas.
Yeah.
The seeds of mathematical thought were already there. But the Guptas, they took it to a whole new level.
Okay, so spill the beans. What kind of mind-blowing math were they up to? Were they inventing calculus already?
Not quite calculus, but they were wrestling with concepts that would pave the way for so many later mathematical advancements. And here's the kicker. They were using a system that we still use today,
Yep.
the decimal system.
Whoa, hold on. The decimal system. Like the ones, tens, hundreds
Yeah.
thing. The system I still count on my fingers with.
That's the one. They grasped that the position of a digit determined its value. So the 1 in 10 means something totally different than the 1 in 100. This might seem obvious now, but try to picture doing complex calculations without it.
Okay, yeah, that would make my tax returns a complete nightmare. So how did this revolutionize math? I'm guessing it made things a whole lot easier.
It did way more than just simplify. It opened up a world of possibilities. Imagine. Suddenly, you could express incredibly large numbers and incredibly small numbers, all with ease and precision. Fractions, decimals, you could tackle it all. It was a game changer. It paved the way for advances in everything from engineering to, you guessed it, astronomy.
Wow. I'm starting to see how this wasn't just about numbers. It was about changing the way people thought about the world. So what did they do with this newfound mathematical power? Did they build giant calculators?
Well, no electronic calculators back then.
Right.
But they did build something even more powerful. Algorithms. Step-by-step procedures for solving math problems.
Okay, so they were like the original coders in a way.
In a way, yes. They were approaching problems with a way of thinking that really foreshadowed modern computational thinking, and all of this knowledge, meticulously documented and passed down.
Wow. It makes you wonder what those ancient classrooms were like. Imagine being a fly on the wall during one of those mathematical debates. Okay, so we've got this decimal system, these algorithms. What else were they cooking up in the math department?
Geometry and trigonometry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just abstract for them. These were essential tools for understanding the world, especially when it came to, you guessed it, astronomy.
Okay, speaking of astronomy, let's shift our gaze to the stars.
To the stars!
I have to admit, I'm a total sucker for anything space-related. Tell me, were the Guptas stargazing like we do today, just with, less fancy telescopes?
Absolutely. They were fascinated by the night sky. And get this, their mathematical skills allowed them to make amazingly accurate observations and predictions.
Huh. So no fancy equipment, just brain power.
Right. No telescopes, no satellites, nothing like the tools we take for granted. They relied on pure intellect.
That's incredible. Ingenuity at its finest. It's
Yeah.
like they were the OG stargazers,
Right.
figuring things out with just their brains in the night sky.
Exactly.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So what kind of things were they actually able to figure out? Were they mapping constellations, tracking planets?
We were doing all of that and more. They could predict eclipses, and with remarkable accuracy, too. They tracked the planets' movements across the sky.
Wow.
And get this, they even calculated the Earth's circumference.
Hold on. They figured out the Earth's circumference way back then.
Way back then.
I mean, how is that even possible without satellites and GPS and all that?
Well, they didn't have those tools, obviously. But they did have something just as powerful, their understanding of geometry and trigonometry.
Right.
They were masters of observation. They used simple but effective instruments, like the gnomon, basically a vertical stick that casts a shadow, to measure the sun's altitude and track time.
Wow. It's like they were hacking the universe with sticks and shadows.
Oh.
So were they coming up with these astronomical theories all on their own, or were they drawing on earlier knowledge?
They were building on a foundation of knowledge that had been passed down for centuries, both within India and from other cultures, too. Remember the Vedas? They actually contain some surprisingly detailed observations of the stars and planets. They also incorporated ideas from Greek astronomy, which had spread eastward through trade and cultural exchange.
It's fascinating how they were collecting knowledge, like taking the best ideas from different traditions and weaving them together into something new. So what kind of revolutionary ideas were they proposing about the cosmos?
Well, for one, they were among the first to argue that the Earth is a sphere, not a flat disk like many people believed back then.
Oh, wow.
And they also proposed that the Earth rotates on its axis, a concept that wouldn't be widely accepted in Europe for centuries.
So they were going against the grain, really challenging those deeply held beliefs with their own observations and calculations. That must have caused some controversy, right?
Absolutely. New ideas often meet with resistance, and the Gupta's theories were definitely no exception.
Right.
But they planted those seeds of doubt. They forced people to reconsider their understanding of the universe.
Yeah.
And those seeds eventually blossomed into new discoveries and advancements down the line.
Like they were those quiet revolutionaries, slowly shifting the way people saw the cosmos. So they were making these bold claims about the Earth and its place in the universe. Did they also have theories about how the whole system worked? Like, were they developing models of the solar system?
Oh, absolutely. They were building upon earlier Greek models, but they made some key refinements. For example, they developed a more accurate understanding of the relative sizes and distances of the planets.
Right.
They also proposed a geocentric model of the universe, with the Earth at the center, which is the prevailing view at the time. It would be centuries before the heliocentric model, with the sun at the center, would gain widespread acceptance.
Right. So they were working within those established frameworks, but they were also pushing the boundaries, refining those models with their own observations and calculations. It's pretty mind-blowing to think they were doing all of this without telescopes or any of that technology we have today.
It really is. It speaks to the power of human curiosity and the ingenuity of the human mind, really. They were using math, logic, and meticulous observation to unlock the secrets of the universe.
Okay, so they've got the math down, they're mapping the stars, they're challenging those old theories. What's next on our Gupta Greatest Hits tour?
Well, let's shift gears from the celestial realm to the human body. We touched on this earlier, but the Guptas also made significant strides in medicine, particularly in the field of Ayurveda.
Oh,
Now, I know we've talked about Ayurveda before, but as a quick refresher, it's that holistic system of medicine originating in ancient India. It really emphasizes the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit, and seeks to restore balance and harmony within the individual.
right. And it's not just some ancient practice that's faded away, right? Ayurveda is still practiced today. I've
Yeah.
even seen Ayurvedic herbs and supplements at, like, health food stores.
Exactly. It's still very much alive.
Mhm.
And the Guptas played a key role in refining and systematizing this ancient knowledge. They created texts that basically laid the foundation for Ayurvedic practice for centuries to come. Think of it this way. They were compiling the medical textbooks of their time, documenting everything they knew about anatomy, physiology, diagnosis, treatment, the whole works.
Wow. So, like, they were creating medical encyclopedias,
Mm.
preserving that ancient wisdom for future generations.
Yeah.
What kind of specific treatments were they developing? Were they using herbs,
Hmm.
surgery, or, I don't know, some other secret technique?
Well, Ayurveda is incredibly diverse, so it incorporates a wide range of approaches. They did use herbs, minerals, diet, lifestyle modifications, and even surgical techniques.
Wow.
In fact, one of the most important Ayurvedic texts, the Sushruta Samhita, it's actually considered a foundational text for surgery. It
Yeah.
describes over 120 surgical instruments and procedures.
They even did plastic surgery, right?
They did plastic surgery in ancient India.
That's incredible. So what were they using for anesthesia back then? I can't imagine going under the knife without some serious pain relief.
Well, they didn't have modern anesthesia, of course, but they did use natural remedies like herbs and alcohol to numb pain.
Okay.
They also developed techniques like acupressure and hypnosis to manage pain and promote healing.
So they were really innovative, finding ways to push the boundaries of what was possible, even with the limitations of their time. And it wasn't just about fixing physical ailments, right? Ayurveda takes a much broader approach to health and well-being.
Exactly. They understood that the mind, body, and spirit are all interconnected. So they developed practices like yoga and meditation to promote mental clarity, emotional balance, and spiritual growth. This holistic approach to health is something that's gaining more and more recognition in modern medicine today.
I can see why. It's like they were ahead of their time, recognizing that true health is about more than just treating symptoms. It's
Absolutely.
about addressing the whole person.
Precisely. And that's one of the reasons why Ayurveda has endured for centuries. It offers a way of understanding health and disease that resonates with people across cultures and time periods.
Okay, so they've mastered math, astronomy, medicine. It's almost like they were superhuman or something.
Yeah.
What else were these Guptas up to? Any other hidden talents?
Well, let's not forget about their incredible prowess in engineering. They were master builders, constructing impressive temples, palaces, irrigation systems, even roads that connected their vast empire.
Right, we touched on that a little earlier, but let's
Yeah.
dive a little deeper. I'm picturing those massive stone temples, those intricate carvings. What kind of engineering feats were they pulling off?
Well, their temples, like the Dashavatara temple at Deogar, are a testament to their architectural ingenuity. These structures, often carved from solid rock, they feature intricate designs, towering spires, and a deep understanding of structural engineering. And it wasn't just about aesthetics either.
Yeah.
They were incredibly functional.
So they were combining beauty and practicality. What other engineering marvels did they create?
Well, they developed sophisticated irrigation systems, using canals and reservoirs to manage water resources and ensure agricultural productivity. They also built roads and bridges, connecting different parts of their empire.
So facilitating trade and communication.
Exactly.
It sounds like they were really building the infrastructure for a thriving civilization, like literally laying the groundwork for their society's success. Were they drawing on earlier engineering traditions? Or were they coming up with totally new techniques?
They were building on existing knowledge, of course, but they were innovating as well. For example, they developed techniques for making durable bricks and mortar, allowing them to construct buildings that could withstand the test of time.
Okay.
And they also experimented with different architectural styles, incorporating influences from different regions of India and even from other cultures.
So just like with their astronomy and medicine, they were synthesizing knowledge, right? Blending those different traditions to create something new and innovative. It's a pattern we see throughout their achievements. It's like they were the ultimate interdisciplinary thinkers, connecting those different fields of knowledge to solve problems and create something truly remarkable.
That's a great observation. And it really speaks to a culture that valued knowledge and encouraged innovation, a culture where the boundaries between different disciplines were fluid and permeable.
So we've covered math, astronomy, medicine, and engineering. What's left? Did they make any advancements in other fields? Or are they just content with being amazing at everything we've already discussed?
Well, their achievements weren't limited to just those areas. They also made strides in metallurgy. For example, they developed techniques for producing high-quality iron and steel, which were essential for their military and agricultural tools.
Right.
And they also experimented with textiles, creating beautiful and durable fabrics that were traded throughout the region.
Okay, so they were basically good at everything. Is there anything these Guptas couldn't do?
Well, like any society, they had their limitations. But their achievements in science, math, and technology were truly remarkable, especially considering the tools and resources available to them at the time.
It's mind-boggling to think what they could have accomplished with access to modern technology, right? Imagine Gupta mathematicians with computers.
It's an intriguing thought. But what's truly important is that they laid the foundation for so much of what came after. Their discoveries and innovations, they had this ripple effect, influencing the development of science and technology in India and beyond.
Okay, so they're pioneers, innovators, and they left behind a legacy that we're still benefiting from today. But before we wrap up this deep dive into the Gupta era, I want to get a sense of how they fit into the bigger picture. How did their achievements influence later periods in Indian history?
That's a great question, and it's one that historians are still debating. But one thing's for sure, the Gupta era was a pivotal moment in Indian history, setting the stage for so much of what came after.
Okay, intriguing. So how did their legacy ripple through the centuries? What aspects of their culture and knowledge endured? And how did they shape the trajectory of Indian civilization?
Well, their intellectual and artistic traditions had a profound impact on later periods. For example, their contributions to mathematics and astronomy influenced the development of science in India and beyond. Their architectural styles, like those intricate designs we see in their temples, continued to inspire builders for centuries.
Okay, so their creativity and ingenuity had a lasting influence. What about their political and social structures? Did those also endure?
Well, the Gupta Empire itself eventually declined and fragmented. But their system of governance, with its emphasis on centralized authority and a strong bureaucracy, provided a model for later Indian empires.
Right, so their influence extended beyond just those specific discoveries and innovations. It shaped the way later societies were structured and organized.
Okay, so we've explored the Guptas' achievements, their legacy, and their place in the broader historical context. I feel like I've learned so much. But sometimes these grand historical narratives can feel, I don't know, a bit removed from our everyday lives.
I understand. Sometimes it helps to bridge that gap by using our imaginations.
Yeah.
Let's imagine we could step back in time and experience life in the Gupta era firsthand.
Okay, I'm game. Where are we going?
Let's transport ourselves to a bustling marketplace in a Gupta city. Imagine the sights, the sounds, the smells, the vibrant energy of daily life in this ancient world.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Crowded streets, merchants hawking their wares, the scent of spices and incense filling the air. What kind of goods are being sold? Well, the Guptas had extensive trade networks, so you'd find goods from all over India and beyond.
Oh, wow.
Silks from China, spices from Southeast Asia, precious stones from Central Asia. It was a melting pot of cultures and commerce.
So like an ancient Indian Silk Road, connecting different parts of the world through trade.
Exactly. And you'd also find locally produced goods. Exquisite textiles woven from Indian cotton, intricately crafted metalwork, beautiful pottery, and of course a wide variety of food grains, fruits, vegetables, spices, you name it.
Okay, my senses are tingling. What about the people? Who are we encountering in this bustling marketplace?
Well, you'd see people from all walks of life. Farmers bringing their produce to sell, merchants displaying their wares, artisans crafting their goods, priests performing rituals, scholars engaged in lively debates, and of course ordinary people just going about their daily lives.
And they'd all be dressed in those beautiful flowing garments, right? I'm picturing vibrant colors, intricate patterns, maybe even some elaborate jewelry.
You're getting the picture. The Guptas were known for their fine textiles and their love of adornment. People would take pride in their appearance, reflecting their social status and their personal style.
Okay, so we're surrounded by this kaleidoscope of colors, textures, and sounds. What about the language? What are people speaking?
Well, Sanskrit was the language of scholarship and religious rituals, but people also spoke a variety of regional languages, depending on their location.
Right.
Imagine the cacophony of different dialects, the animated conversations, the laughter, the bartering. It'd be a symphony of human voices.
I'm loving this sensory overload. What about the architecture? What did the buildings look like?
Well, you'd see a mix of architectural styles reflecting the Gupta's innovative spirit. There would be those impressive temples with their towering spires and intricate carvings. Grand palaces, showcasing the wealth and power of the ruling elite.
It sounds like a city that's both grand and down to earth, a place where spirituality, commerce, and daily life all intertwine.
That's a great way to put it. And as you wander through this marketplace, you might catch snippets of conversations, people discussing the latest news, sharing stories, debating philosophical ideas. It was a society that valued knowledge and intellectual discourse.
Okay, so it's a feast for the senses, a hub of activity, a place where ideas are exchanged and stories are told. I'm starting to feel a bit more connected to these ancient Guptas, seeing how their knowledge and innovations impacted the lives of everyday people.
That's the power of imagination. Sometimes all it takes is a little mental time travel to bring history to life.
I love that perspective. It's a good reminder that history isn't just about looking back, it's also about inspiring us to move forward. Okay, so we've explored their intellectual achievements, their cultural landscape, and even experienced a day in the life of a Gupta city. I'm feeling pretty well versed in the Gupta era now, but before we wrap up, I have one more question. We've talked about all the amazing things the Guptas accomplished, but
Yeah.
how did this golden age actually end? Did they just, run out of steam, or was there something else going on?
That's a great question, and it's one that historians are still piecing together. You see, there wasn't one single event that marked the end of the Gupta era.
Oh, okay.
It was more of a gradual decline, a bunch of factors that sort of weakened the empire and ultimately led to its fragmentation.
So it wasn't like some dramatic collapse or
Mhm.
invasion. It was more of a slow fade out.
Exactly, a slow decline,
Yeah.
and internal pressures played a big role.
Okay, internal pressures.
Yeah, as the empire grew, it became harder and harder to manage. And succession disputes among the ruling elite, all that definitely weakened central authority.
It's like that saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Right. Precisely. And it wasn't just internal struggles. External pressures were mounting too. The Guptas faced constant threats from invaders.
Invaders. Like who?
Particularly the Hunas. They launched these repeated raids into Gupta territory. And these invasions, well, coupled with the internal instability, all of that drained the empire's resources and weakened its defenses.
So it was like a 1-2 punch. Internal struggles plus those external threats.
Exactly. A combination of factors, both internal and external, ultimately leading to the empire's decline. It's a pretty classic story, isn't it? Empires rise, they reach their peak, and then they inevitably decline.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme throughout history. But that doesn't diminish the Gupta's accomplishments, right?
Not at all. Their legacy extends way beyond the lifespan of their empire.
That's true.
Their contributions to science, mathematics, medicine, art, all of that, it continues to inspire and influence us today.
And I think that's what's so fascinating about studying history. We see these patterns, these cycles of rise and fall, but we also see the enduring power of human creativity and ingenuity. The Guptas may be long gone, but their ideas and innovations, they continue to shape our world.
Precisely. And it's a reminder that even amidst challenges and uncertainties, human progress, it doesn't stop. New ideas emerge, knowledge is passed down, and future generations build upon the foundations laid by those who came before.
Okay, that's a really inspiring thought. It's like, even though empires may crumble, the human spirit of innovation, that's what truly endures.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe centuries from now, people will look back at our era and marvel at our achievements, just as we marvel at the achievements of the Guptas.
That's a humbling thought. It really makes you realize that we're all part of this ongoing story of human progress, each generation adding its own chapter. Okay, I'm feeling a renewed sense of purpose now. Thanks for taking us on this incredible deep dive into the Gupta era. It's been a truly eye-opening experience.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, history is more than just dates and names. It's about understanding the human story, learning from the past, and using that knowledge to shape a better future. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering. You never know what incredible insights you might unearth.
I love that. That's a great note to end on. Thanks again for joining us for this deep dive into the Gupta era. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.